local, late breaking. This is WTVA News at 6.
Right now at 6, a project to revitalize part of a Tupelo street gets the green light. We have the facts on the efforts to wipe out the blight.
Plus, the American Medical Association officially declares obesity to be a disease. We will talk to locals on how they feel about today's controversial announcement. We'll have these stories and more straight ahead. Good evening. I'm Sunny Wallace.
And I'm Emily Leonard in for Terry Smith tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for WTVA News at 6. And we have some new information tonight. Wipe out the blight. That's the challenge before a group of Tupelo residents who are determined to make that happen. Now, with a green light from the city and green in hand, that effort is picking up speed. WTVA's Susan Parker reports.
It's kind of interesting that some of these houses might could be moved.
Duke Loden and Pat Faulkner have something in common. They both want to rid this busy Tupelo neighborhood of blight.
More can be done.
There's a lot of architectural value here, and there's some residents here that are committed to the neighborhood, and we want to help them build up around them.
Tupelo City Council members are officially on board for a revitalization project on Jackson Street, the first pilot project for the city and a nonprofit set of committees called the Neighborhood Development Corporation. Tupelo Mayor Jack Reed Jr.
If we don't do this, you're looking at Tupelo becoming Jackson and Saltillo and Morville becoming, Ridgeland and Madison. I mean, every city in America has these same challenges.
This is the 5th property acquired by the city of Tupelo, and just because it's in the city's hands doesn't mean it's going to be torn down. Many decisions can be made involving this property by the committee with oversight from the city. They say they plan to handle each property on a case-by-case basis.
In some cases, maybe getting 30% of the houses will be enough. It's not that we've got to buy 60% or 80% of the homes. If we just get the worst ones, and then hopefully the others will take a hint and kind of improve theirs, and things will be better for everybody.
An idea that sounds just fine to Willie Hardin Smith.
They need to do that. They need to do that because it's bringing down the property level when all the houses, it's all torn, all together. It's better that they get it and put it back together. I've been around here for about 11 years now, and I feel like most of the houses here are getting older, and the very one next to me is old and it needs to be torn down, or it needs to be someone, living in it.
Shumpert says she is all for restoration, but as a renter, she hopes to not ever be forced to leave.
We just want people to understand that we're not going to be forcing anybody out. That we're going to be dealing with people that willing sellers, willing buyers.
Faulkner says the committees will be working closely with the city to make sure all remain on the same page. In Tupelo, I'm Susan Parker for WTVA News.
1 or 2 Tupelo City Council members are expected to serve as liaisons between the committees and the city. Committees were to meet this evening to set a plan into motion.
In other news tonight, even after a new Mississippi gun law takes effect July 1st, federal law will still prohibit people from openly carrying weapons on property run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Now, the Corps says in a news release that violating the federal law is punishable by up to 6 months in prison and also a $5,000 fine. The Corps operates the Lower Mississippi River Museum in Vicksburg and has offices in the city. It also operates 4 lakes in Mississippi. Now, the new state law will allow people to carry unconcealed guns in many places, and State Attorney General Jim Hood has said guns can still be banned in schools and also courthouses. He also says business owners can restrict guns on their private property.
Traffic in downtown Sherman is back to normal after a truck trailer buckled, causing the closure of 1 lane of traffic. Sherman police say they received the call around 10 o'clock this morning that an 18-wheeler carrying watermelons had buckled at the intersection of Highway 78 and Highway 9. The vehicle did cause some minor damage to the roadway before coming to a stop. Crews had to unload the trailer in order to remove it from the road. An investigation is underway into what caused the trailer to buckle.
Meanwhile, the Mississippi Department of Transportation is warning drivers about work underway on Highway 45, this in Alcorn County. MDOT officials say crews are working on the shoulders on each side of the highway from the Highway 2 exit to the Tennessee state line. The work is expected to last until Friday night. Now, while the work is expected to have a minimal impact on the flow of traffic, drivers definitely need to be aware of the work crews, so please slow down or move over when passing the work zones.
And repair work is being done to a railroad crossing at one of West Point's busiest industrial intersections. Crews are on the scene for just a few days to redo the rail crossing at North Division Street and East Morrow Street. The old crossing was dug out and is being replaced with new timbers. The crossing is being elevated to make it more safe and user-friendly for cars and trucks. With the new timbers, the crossing should last 20 to 25 years before needing repairs again.
This particular crossing, about 2 years ago, there were other tracks there, and we had removed them from the street crossing. And now that we're getting the current crossing repaired, it should be very smooth and a nice crossing for all the residents.
Once the work is completed by Kansas City Southern Railroad, the city will come in and redo the asphalt to make the crossing smoother. New tonight at 6, the American Medical Association announced it has officially declared obesity as a disease.
Yeah, that's a controversial announcement today, and WTVA's Tyler Hill spoke with a local physician about the AMA's bold decision.
More than 90 million people in the United States have a disease, according to the American Medical Association. After much debate, the group changed the classification of obesity to a disease. West Tupelo Medical Clinic physician Will Jennings agrees with the controversial decision.
We hope that they will feel more accountable now that they understand that obesity is a disease. Their efforts are equally important as what we can do as physicians.
Though it's recognized some cases of obesity aren't caused by poor healthy choices, Jennings says the majority of cases are, and it's something he hopes this new classification will change.
If we can, address those lifestyle issues early on with education, then that'll be a great hurdle that we've overcome.
Making obesity a disease, however, does bring a lot of uncertainty. Insurance companies will now be pressured to reimburse physicians for the time it takes doctors to discuss obesity-related health factors to patients, meaning the cost of health care could rise.
We don't have any definite answers if that compensation will be there.
But he does say this will help the way doctors treat obese patients.
We may be able to incorporate, just like prescribing a medication. Hopefully, we will get to the point where we can prescribe exercise for patients.
The arguments are already piling up against calling obesity a disease. Some compare it to smoking, saying this little guy, sure, he's harmful and unhealthy and can lead to bad diseases, but smoking itself is not a disease. Dr. Jennings says that argument is completely flawed.
Smoking is not a physical attribute. It's an action that leads to the physical attribute. Obesity is a physical attribute, just like plaque buildup in an artery.
Jennings says society must teach children to live healthy lifestyles in order to break the deadly cycle.
If we can teach our children just the basics of healthy diet and nutrition, then that will be a very big accomplishment.
In Tupelo, I'm Tyler Hill for WTVA News.
All right, thanks a lot, Tyler. This new change affects almost 1/3 of adults and 17% of children and teenagers living in the U.S. And coming up on WTVA News at 6 years after a food plant closes, activity at the site has started back up.
It sure has, but it's construction work that is taking over the old Bryan food property. We explain what's being done and how it could help the city of West Point in the future.
Today, temperatures were in the lower 90s for highs in some spots, but if it didn't feel quite that hot, it's the lack of mugginess. It's still muggy, but not nearly as sultry as it's going to be the next couple of afternoons. As we look at your hour-by-hour forecast this evening, though, we anticipate that we will stay mainly dry. One rogue shower out there will track with Storm Track Doppler here in a couple minutes, but for most of us, it's dropping through the lower 70s on what will be a rather quiet evening. Jim?
All right, Matt, thanks so much. Some changes on the way for the Southern Miss Athletic Department. They're looking for a new leader. In the NBA, 2 words to sum things up, Game 7. And MSU doesn't play again until Friday at the College World Series in Omaha. But the Diamond Dogs aren't just sitting around and relaxing. We'll show you what they're up to later in sports. WTVA News at 6 continues after this.